Hey yo, what's going on? This video is in response to one of my subscribers. Dang, I'm J Lep. J Lep, this one's for you. Hopefully, I remember that name correctly. But this one's gonna be about comping. Uh, I'm gonna pull up one property. My first property here is a property that it was my first deal, so I've already gotten paid on this one. Comfortable with showing you the comps and stuff. Gonna go ahead and comp it, go through the process. I'm gonna use Propstream. What I use to comp is Propstream and also Redfin. Um, so without further ado, this is the property. This is the property that I got driving for dollars. Cold called the guy. He said he was interested. Gave me his situation and tried to help him out with a cash offer. And this is what I'm trying to do while I'm on the phone with him initially. But sometimes especially in the beginning, and something that I'm still trying to get better at. And something that I will do is actually schedule a second phone call if I feel like I'm being rushed to run the comps or I can't run the comps in time and feel confident in the offer I'm getting ready to make to the seller. I'll just go ahead and schedule another call. I'll say something along the lines of, "Hey, just want to be able to get an opportunity to do my homework here. Kind of look into the area a little bit, figure out what homes are selling for and what we may be able to sell it for on the back end once we come in there and do all the repairs." Um, so is it all right if I give you a call tomorrow? Real simple, schedule of time, follow up. I've never had anybody put up a fuss about it. Um, I will say that after I've already pre-qualified them. So while I'm on the phone with them, I do try to comp the property to get them an offer on the initial phone call, though. So here's what I will do. Pulled up the property in Propstream again. Came over to comparable and nearby listings. I'm in a non-disclosure state, Texas, so I'm just looking at MLS. You can look at public record too, but they'll only give you estimates. So I just look at the MLS. I will go back a year. It's a kind of pre-populated with a year. I leave bedrooms and bathrooms blank. I will just make adjustments to the price after the fact. So I'll show you what I mean. What I will do is year built. I'll go 10 years back and 10 years forward. Sometimes I'll do a little bit more, give or take, just to kind of make a solid number. So like on this one, I'll bring it back 13 years actually. I'll bring it back to 1940, and then I'll bring it all the way up to 1965. So about 12, 13 years in each direction. Want to keep the square feet within 250 square feet. So on this one, what is that? 1143 minus 250, about 893. I'll keep it at 900. So nothing below 900 square feet. And then 250 on top of this is 393. So I'll just bring it up to 400. I'll keep the distance at half a mile. Property class, residential, single family, because that's what I'm dealing with the subject property. So I just want to do my best to compare apples to apples. And there is a lot of activity. So what I will do is come over here. You can see where the property lies. So I might even just right off, the rip, drop this down to a quarter mile since there's so much activity within the last year. So that limits it to these handful. And all of these are, Burke Road, the property itself lies on kind of a main road. So I may want to stay on this side of Red Bluff Road and look at these properties because I don't want to cross any major roads. So I don't want to cross any major roads. I want to make sure that I'm comparing apples to apples. I don't want to cross any bodies of water or anything like that, right? So these are all in the same vicinity, within a quarter mile. Now what I'm going to look at is I'm going to actually filter this by the amounts, or sort it rather by the amount, so I know what I'm looking at. So these ones I can imagine everything from, it looks like this is where the big jump comes in, 106 to 160. I would imagine that everything up here, 160 and up, is a fix and flip, or at least being sold in livable condition, right? And anything below that, I imagine is actually being sold as is, so like 106, 105. So the way that I come up with my offers is I do reverse engineer it since I'm in a non-disclosure state. I know people in disclosure states have the luxury of seeing what cash comps are going for, but in this case, you know, you don't really see any cash comps other than this 106, 105. That could be a cash comp, meaning that this is something that was bought in as-is condition and will likely need to be renovated before it's sold. I accidentally just saved, did it, but I did. Go ahead and get back to that property there. Come back into the comps. Let me just redo that real quickly. 1900, 1400, quarter mile, year built, 1940, 1965, residential, single family. All right. So what I'm going to start looking at is the ones that were sold again for that higher dollar amount. So this one sold 192, and sometimes you get again the benefit of having some pictures here. This one didn't have pictures. This has these two. So what I'm going to look at is 192. Again, I can safely assume that that was a fix and flip. Days on market 37. This one had one more bath and about 100 square feet bigger. So what I do is for every bedroom or bathroom, I will take into account a $10,000 discrepancy and kind of apply that to the math, right? So if this one sold for 192 and it had an extra bathroom, I think that ours could probably sell for 182 since it has one less bathroom. Hopefully that makes sense. And then same for like square feet. This one had 100 extra square feet, so I will take a $10,000 difference for every 100 square feet. Again, I've already kind of kept it within the range of which I'm able to do that, because anything beyond 250 square feet, you can't really apply that same math. It doesn't make sense. So I'll take another 10,000 off for the extra 100 square feet. So again, this one sold for 192. Now I think, after considering the one less bath and the 100 less square feet, that ours will sell for about 172. But what I should have looked at first was this lot square footage. What you want to do is stay within 2,500 square feet on the lot. So this lot is actually a little bit too big to be considered like comparing apples to apples, right? Which is probably why it drove such a high sell price, because this is kind of the biggest lot in the area. So another one, let's look at this one. Just about same lot size. I'm not going to really take anything into account for that. This one has, what is that? Close to about 200 square foot difference. So ours is about 200 square feet bigger, but ours has one less bath. So again, one less, and this one sold for 182. So one less bath, ours would sell for 172, but ours has 200 square feet bigger. So I think ours would sell for 192, right? Same year built, just about the same lot size. So I think ours could probably go for 192. And this one sold very recently. This was actually maybe a comp that I used. And then another one just to kind of get a good sample size so that we know. So right now I think ours could probably sell for 192. And then you'd want to do a little bit more digging. This is just like quick comps. You'd want to come into this one and make sure that this one, you know, doesn't have a garage when yours does, or it does have a garage when yours doesn't, or this one has a pool and yours doesn't, which will also affect the value. Or, you know, you want to come and double check. Does this one sit on a main road? No, it doesn't. That one kind of lies in the city, whereas ours kind of sits on the main road. So you might want to take $5,000, $10,000 off of the price where I think it could sell. So, you know, at first I thought it was going to sell for 192, but ours sits on a main road, so maybe it sells for 182, which I think is appropriate in this case. So I think 182 is a better number since ours sits on the main road, whereas this one does not. So going to the 5 right here, also sits on the same road, Burke. Let's see the lot size, pretty much the same. Ours is about 100 square feet bigger, same beds, bath. This one sold for 170. So taking into account this 100 extra square feet, I think ours could sell for 180. Again, 180 versus that 182, I think that's pretty much our ARV, or our after repair value, figuring out what it could sell for once all of the repairs are made. So I'll call it 180 to be safe. So now, if I know that an end buyer, a cash buyer, can sell the property for $180,000 after all the repairs are done, this is the formula that I use to try to come up with the best offer. I'll multiply that ARV by 0.92. And what that is taking into consideration is the fees that the buyer will incur in order to sell it on the back end. So when he or she goes to sell that property, they're going to have to pay likely 3% commission, seller commission to a real estate agent, 3% buyer's commission to the buyer's agent, closing costs on the back end, as well as closing costs on the front end in order to actually buy the property. Because again, I am saying that I am responsible for the closing costs when I go direct to seller and I go under contract with the seller. So the end buyer that I assign my rights to assumes that same role, and they are now responsible for paying the closing costs, if that's what you agree to. But then again, there are some investors who have, agent relationships to where they're not having to pay that full 3% seller's commission and buyer's commission. So I feel that 8%, I know some people will even do higher because of those relationships, but I think 8% is a nice conservative number to take into consideration all the fees and the costs and commissions that the buyer is going to have to pay on that 180 as the ARV. Now we're down to 165. And again, this is us coming up with our offer price to the seller. Now I want to take into consideration how much profit the buyer is going to want to make on the back end. On a $180,000 house, it's going to be $20,000 minimum. That's what I use, $20,000 minimum, or 10%. So if the ARV is like $250,000, I like to carve out at least $25,000 profit. If it's $300,000, I like to carve out at least $30,000. To be honest, as well, I've pretty much been upping it to be conservative when making my offers to a minimum of $25,000 profit. So I correct myself in saying that I use 20. I actually use 25. So I'll do a minimum of 25,000 or 10%. Again, just to reiterate that. So now I'm down to 14600. I have a little quick. Now the last two things that I need to consider is the repair costs and the assignment fee that I want to carve out for myself. So again, this is where people who operate in disclosure states benefit, because they don't have to consider repair costs. They can just see what cash buyers are buying properties that are in distressed states. Whereas in this case, when we have to reverse engineer the formula, we have to consider some type of cost for repair. So I have a little cheat sheet here. These are updated based on 2021 because there was an inflation in costs of goods and labor and stuff. So in this case, it was a full gut rehab for a property that was about 1,100 square feet. So 60,000 I think was appropriate to consider as a repair cost. It needed everything: new roof, new AC. It had foundation issues. There was leaks. There was mold. Everything. It needed everything. It needed to be gut and rehab fully down to the studs. So now I'm gonna take 60,000 off of that. 80,600. Now this is the price that a cash buyer would likely pay for, right? Likely. And now I just have to be under this to consider some type of an assignment fee. So if I wanted a $10,000 assignment fee, I would make sure to not go above 70,600 when making my offer to the seller. So hopefully that makes sense. What ended up happening on this one is I got it under contract for 58,000 and ended up assigning it to the end buyer for 70. So a $12,000 spread, $12,000 assignment fee gives us the $70,000 purchase price from the cash buyer. I think that was a smoking deal for him. I think that we could have gotten a lot more for it, but it was the first deal. We weren't complaining. We just wanted to pass it along, keep it pushing. So if my math is correct, again, he's probably looking at about a $40,000 profit. If he's able to get 180 for it on the back end, pay his fees after the 60 that it takes to repair, 105 is where we're at, minus the 70 that he paid. So he could be possibly looking at like a $35,000 profit. So hopefully that made sense. That's how I kind of come up with my offer price and how I'm looking at properties, how I'm comping them. That was, again, the first deal that I have closed, which was last month, to this gentleman here. So excited to see what it's going to look like and what he ends up putting it back on the market for. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to comment, and I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. Until the next